Good evening, friends. Let us be still a moment. In that quiet, can you sense it? A presence that answers before a single word is spoken. Tonight we open Goldsmith's secret, the real reason why some prayers work and others don't. Prayer is not persuasion, nor polished phrases sent up to a distant power. Prayer is awakening, an inner recognition of the one presence, the only power already here. When prayer fails, it is usually because we pray from separation, trying to fix effects. When prayer bears fruit, it is because we rest in oneness and allow harmony to manifest of itself. We are not here to get God to do anything. We are here to realize what God already is. If this resonates, like the video, comment the symbolic number 1 livin to affirm oneness and subscribe so we can continue this journey together. What happens when you stop telling God about your problem and let God tell you about itself? True prayer begins the very moment we surrender the urge to get, to change, to persuade, and we yield to an inner beholding of what already is. Prayer is recognition that life is present, whole, perfect, that the very presence we call God is the activity of our being, the light of every situation, the substance of every form. When the heart turns from petition to awareness, the atmosphere shifts. We are no longer beggars at a distant gate. We are witnesses in the sanctuary, acknowledging the invisible that forever fulfills itself. Recognition is not a mental affirmation stacked high to force a result. It is a quiet knowing, felt before it is thought, that omnipresence leaves no place for absence, that omnipotence admits no opposing power. In that knowing, the fever of desire cools. We are not trying to draw good to us, we are letting the good that is already here become evident. We rest, we listen, we consent. The prayer is not, do this for me, but be what you are as me as this. Notice what happens the instant you stop cataloging needs. A spaciousness opens. In that space, the soul speaks without words. You discover that supply is not money, but the outflow of life, that health is not a body repaired, but harmony realized. That companionship is not a person gained, but love revealing itself where you stand. Recognition removes the masks from appearances. The same circumstance, seen through the single eye, becomes transparency for grace. To practice this, be still, not as a technique to get a result, but as an act of fidelity to truth. Enter the inner room, shut the door of thought, and wait. Let the mind empty of bargains and bargaining fears. Breathe, and notice that awareness is already aware. There, acknowledge here now one presence, here now one power, here now one life being itself. If a problem intrudes, do not attack it, impersonalize it. Then return to recognition. I am witness, not fixer. I consent to the activity of the Christ within to reveal what is already finished. Gratitude in this prayer is not thankfulness for things received, it is reverence for reality recognized. It is the soft yes of the heart that allows the river to run its own course. The outer unfolds without strain because the inner posture is yielded. When action is required, it arises as gentle compulsion, not anxiety. When words are needed, they come as if spoken through you. When silence is called for, it is full, potent, sufficient. If you must use words, let them be few and transparent. Let them point, not plead. Let them say, "A Father you are," and let the rest be listening. Gradually you will notice that prayer becomes your atmosphere, not an event, a continuous recognition that wherever you are, the holy is, and that recognition itself is the answer appearing. This is why requests fall away. They presuppose distance and delay, while recognition abides in immediacy. The vine does not beg the branch to receive sap, the life flows because it is one life. So you sit, attentive, receptive, present, and you witness fulfillment by presence, not by effort, until even the word prayer dissolves into living communion. Nothing to get, only God beheld. From this recognition flows the certainty of one presence, one power, no opposite. If there is truly one, where could a second stand? If omnipresence is the fact, what corner remains for absence? If omnipotence is the law, what lever exists for resistance? The mind that believes in two forces lives in ceaseless negotiation. managing risks, hedging bets, praying to gain an edge. But the heart that beholds the One relaxes its fists. It ceases to prop up good against evil and simply abides in the indivisible life that is being itself. This is not naivete, it is clarity. Light does not argue with darkness, it reveals it as no thing in and of itself, only the seeming when light is unrecognized. Joel would say error is hypnotism, suggestion, appearance, never power. Disease, lack, conflict, death are names we assign to fluctuating pictures on the screen of sense. They claim voice and substance because belief lends them energy. Withdraw that belief, and you will notice their demand weakens. We do not fight shadows, we turn on the light. We do not spiritualize matter, we realize spirit as all. It is not personal will, it is the nature of reality revealing itself. The moment you stop granting an opposite, you stop feeding the wheel of reaction. Fear dissolves because there is nothing outside omnipresence to fear, and guilt dissolves because there is nothing outside omnipotence to oppose. Practically, this means that when a headline shouts, when a symptom speaks, when a bill arrives, you do not set truth to war against them. You acknowledge one presence is here. Therefore, no second presence exists to threaten, tempt, or deprive. You do not deny the appearance at the human level, but you strip it of authority. Quietly, impersonally, not my problem, not your problem, not a power, just a suggestion without principle, presence, mind, or law. Then you return to beholding. Often, while the outer picture shifts, not because you forced it, but because the pressure of belief lifted and harmony, already present, could surface. The prophet heard it. I am God, and beside me there is none else. Not two, not a duel, not a cosmic tug of war. The Christ, mind within you, does not labor to establish this truth. It rests in it and lets it be. Love does not require hate to prove itself. Peace does not need conflict to dramatize its strength. The sun does not look for darkness to defeat, it shines. In the same way, your prayer ceases to be a strategy and resumes its nature as witnessing. You become a transparency through which the One sees itself, unopposed, unobstructed. If you notice yourself slipping into two-power living, do not scold. Simply notice and pivot. A pilot corrects course by gentle pressure, not panic. Pause, breathe, and feel for the center here. Now, one presence, one power. Let attention rest until the nervous system mirrors the truth it contemplates. Let thought grow quiet, not from suppression but from recognition, because what needs defending when there is no opponent to fight, no second will to placate, no separate life to preserve, and in that quiet, the next keynote begins to reveal itself as stillness before words, as stillness before words. In this stillness, you discover that silence is not a blank. It is presence unspoken, fullness before form. The mind wants to rush in with phrases, to decorate the sanctuary with thoughts, but the altar is already set, while the bread is baked, the lamp is lit. Be still and let the room of consciousness clear of smoke. Let breath settle, shoulders soften, attention descend from forehead to heart until you can feel awareness aware of itself. Not drowsy, not trance, but bright, simple alertness that neither reaches forward nor grasps back. Silence precedes utterance the way dawn precedes bird song. If you insist on words too soon, they flutter without sky to carry them. When you wait, the word that is not of you, but through you begins to press upon the threshold. You sense it as ease, as warmth, as a quiet rightness that requires nothing. This is prayer's true atmosphere. Here, to take no thought, ceases to be instruction and becomes natural. Thinking falls away of its own weight because presence is tangibly enough. Do not be concerned with technique. Technique is for doing, this is for being. Sit, stand, walk, whatever life is presenting, pause within it. Notice the subtle urge to fix, to improve, to rehearse outcomes. Kindly let the urge pass. Return to the center with a single inner acknowledgement here. Now God is. If a phrase helps you enter, use it once and let it fall like a seed, trusting the soil. The harvest is not a result you manage, it is the ripening of awareness. From this stillness, utterance may come, but it will not be yours alone. You will speak a sentence, make a call, write a note, take a step, and it will feel given rather than made up. Authority without strain marks such utterance. It carries no edge, no covert plea, no secret bargain. Even your silence becomes articulate. It is felt by others as space, safety, invitation. People relax around you because you are not projecting a second power into the room. Practice at intervals. Short pauses throughout the day keep the inner ear tuned. Before the meeting, the meal, the message, a 30-second return to center is enough to remind you that the presence precedes the event. When agitation spikes, lengthen the pause. Sit with the pulse of breath until the body takes your cue and the mind loosens its timelines. If a flood of thoughts arises, do not dam it. Let it run until it spends itself, and underneath you will notice the streambed. Quiet, steady, unmoved. Signs of true stillness: a softening of hurry, a widening of perspective, a gentleness that has nothing to prove. Decisions arise with the clarity of seeing, not the pressure of choosing. You find yourself saying less and meaning more. You watch the impulse to explain fall away, replaced by the willingness to wait until you are moved. And in that waiting, the mask on appearances begins to slip. You start to see that what claims as problem is only suggestion, seeking reaction rather than recognition. And there, the practice shifts from battling shapes to impersonalizing the claim, refusing to grant it person, place, or power, and returning gently to the witnessing presence where peace unveils harmony already at hand here. From here, impersonalization becomes natural. You begin to sense that what calls itself problem is a claim without person, place, thing, or law to sustain it. Error is not someone, not you, not me. It is suggestion, mesmeric presentation, seeking belief. When you remove the mask of person, the sting goes out of it. Blame dissolves, fear loosens, and love has room to breathe. You are no longer wrestling shadows on the wall. You are noticing the light behind you and turning toward it. To impersonalize is not to dismiss human pain, nor to grow hard. It is to see through it. Compassion ripens when you stop pinning labels on people. The colleague's sharp words, not a malicious self-acting, but a suggestion of separation playing through a receptive moment. The symptom in your body. Not a power, not a law, not a self-acting substance, but a suggestion presenting as sensation. The unpaid bill, not deficiency as cause, but a picture of lack fishing for your fear. In each case, refrain from granting status. Gently, inwardly, no person, no place, no thing, no law, no cause in matter, only the one cause, one law, one presence. This is why fixing effects exhausts us. Effects are the shadows cast by belief. Rearranging them does not change the light. You can polish the mirror, but if you believe in two powers, the reflection will keep fracturing. Instead, turn to source. Let the activity of recognition do the work. Often, the outward action that follows is the same: an apology, a doctor's visit, a budget adjustment, but the inner posture is different. You are not pushing against a second power. You are allowing harmony to reveal its already established order, and actions flow as its expression rather than as attempts to engineer reality. Practice in the moment of impact. When news startles, when pain spikes, when memory accuses, pause. Label the claim for what it is: suggestion, not selfhood; appearance, not law. Withdraw personal ownership, not my fear, not your anger, not their hatred. Just a floating belief without substance or principle. Then pivot to presence, here, now. The I am is the only mind, life, law. Wait until the nervous system feels the shift from contraction to openness. If words arise, let them be few and clear. If no words arise, let silence do the heavy lifting. Impersonalizing error includes yourself. The inner critic that recites failures is the same hypnotism in a private whisper. Refuse to lend it your name. You are not a flawed mortal struggling to become spiritual. You are spiritual consciousness witnessing mortal suggestion without signing the contract. This releases others from the courtroom of your mind, because as you stop holding yourself as culprit, you stop needing culprits at all. Forgiveness becomes natural, not as moral effort, but as vision, Nothing personal happened in truth, only a dream picture appeared and passed. Be alert to the subtle temptation of metaphysical fixing, using truth as a tool to coerce outcomes. That still treats effects as cause. Let the truth stand on its own feet. Acknowledge the one, rest, and allow. Watch how relationships soften when you no longer assign identity to behavior. Notice how the body responds when fear loses its credential. See how supply surfaces when you cease arguing with the image and return to the fact that life forever expresses itself as sufficiency. Resist not evil, ceases to be passivity and becomes lucid seeing. There is no evil to resist, only a shadow awaiting light, and as you refuse to personalize it, the habit of reaction gives way to the ease of recognition, and your attention is freed to behold the next unfolding of grace already moving as this moment. And in that freedom, you learn what it means to take no thought. Or not indifference, not neglect, but the release of mental engineering in favor of divine ordination. Take no thought for your life is not a command to be careless. It is an invitation to stop substituting anxious planning for presence. Thought, as the world uses it, is a tool for managing a two-power universe. But in the light of one, thinking loses its job description. The Father within doth the works. Grace fulfills itself without your strain, without your forecasts, without your bargains. To take no thought is to stop leaning on conclusions and fall back into consciousness. It is the humility of, I can of mine own self do nothing, which is not defeat but openness, the doorway through which the rhythm of life can move you. You may still draft an email, make a call, balance a budget, but the impulse to do so arises after the inner settling, not before. You are no longer using thought to force fruit. You are recognizing the tree and letting its season express. Notice the flavor of taking thought. It tightens the forehead, shortens the breath, presses for immediate answers, rehearses speeches, calculates outcomes, and calls it being responsible. The flavor of grace is different, quiet sufficiency, an ease that does not postpone action but removes urgency, a rightness that requires no defense. This is not quietism, it is alignment. When the inner tone is true, the outer note sounds clear. Practice becomes simple. When need seems to appear, pause. Do not reach for a favorite affirmation as a lever that is still taking thought. Acknowledge softly, Father, you are. Then wait. Let the nervous system feel the truth it has heard. If nothing arises, do nothing yet. If a simple next step shows itself, take it without commentary. The timing will often surprise you. A call arrives, an idea forms, a door opens where you were not looking. You did not make it happen, you made room. Be alert to the subtle disguises of thought, spiritual slogans, stacked like sandbags against fear, visualizations painted over anxiety. Vows to stay positive by sheer will. These are more of the same. The infinite does not need your optimism, it needs your transparency. Let the wave of fear pass without labeling it yours. Let the mind chatter and tire itself. Beneath it, presence remains untroubled, and from that quiet, precision of action appears, sometimes a word, sometimes a stop, sometimes a redirection you would not have invented. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. In practical terms, this means your day is punctuated by brief returns to center. Before you answer, you listen within. Before you fix, you see. Before you plan, you ask, not for outcomes, but for awareness. What is the activity of God here? Often the answer is a felt peace with no content. Trust that. Peace is permission for grace to surface as form where needed, and its forms fit. People respond, timing aligns, resources match the need without residue. As demonstrations appear, refuse the temptation to credit your method. Method is a raft, grace is the river. Gratitude returns to its rightful object, the essence that forever fulfills itself. You learn to live unhurried even when busy, unburdened even when responsible, because the government is on his shoulder and your role is consent. Little by little, thought takes its proper seat as servant to awareness, and you find yourself less a manager of life and more an open window through which life looks, which is to say, You begin to sense what it means to be a transparency for the Christ within, not a special aura to acquire, but the disappearance of the impulse to be the door. A transparency is a window, the light is the Christ. The window does not shine, it allows shining. Its task is simple: remain clear, free of the films of fear, ambition, grievance, and spiritual vanity that smudge the pain. Not I, but Christ liveth in me, ceases to be a verse and becomes a felt posture. The personal sense steps back a pace, awareness stands open, the presence that knows itself as I am begins to be the animating principle of thought, speech, and deed. One Joel's language, Christ is not a person alongside you, it is the divine sonship, the activity of God individualizing as your very consciousness. To be a transparency is to cease claiming possession, my truth, my practice, my healing, my students. Gifts stop being owned and start being streamed. Authority feels different in this light, unforced, cordial, unanxious. You find you can say, I don't know, without loss, because the knowing you rely on is not in the storehouse of memory, but in the present revealing of spirit. Practically, this is housekeeping. You notice when reaction fogs the glass, the quick retort, the subtle brag, the rush to fix, the private judgment. Each time, you wash the pain with quiet acknowledgement. Father, you are the seeing in this seeing, the speaking in this speaking. You do not shame the human impulse, you set it down. You re-enter the room of stillness where the Christ mind is the only mind. From there, movement occurs, sometimes a firm word, sometimes a listening ear, sometimes a simple no, each free of self-defense, because nothing personal is at stake. Being a transparency does not make you passive. It makes you responsive. The vine flows through the branch as sap and fruit. The branch does not strain, nor does it slump. It abides. In the same way, your days begin to carry a rhythm: quiet first, then action, listening first, then word. People may say you have presence. What they feel is not your personality upgraded. It is the absence of friction, the ease of one presence recognized. Rooms settle. Conversations deepen. Decisions arise with a clean line because they are not trying to prove you right or keep you safe. Guard against the subtle seduction of performing spirituality. The transparency does not point to itself. Look how clear I am. It points through itself. Much of this life will be hidden: the closet prayer, the unannounced kindness, the refusal to repeat a harmful tale, the willingness to be overlooked without complaint. Let this mind be in you, not as imitation of a historical figure, but as the same mind that was in Christ Jesus, recognized as your own true awareness. Humble, obedient to the inner government, fearless because it knows no second power. You will notice changes in texture. Forgiveness without effort, because there is no one left to defend. Generosity without calculation, because supply is seen as flow, not stockpile. Courage without aggression, because protection is presence, not posture. The body often reflects it, breath deepens, tension unwinds. Symptoms lose the megaphone of fear. Work reflects it. Clarity replaces hurry, excellence without strain appears, timing aligns more than it is arranged. Relationships reflect it. Less correcting, more beholding, less narration, more listening, less trying to be understood, more willingness to understand. If ecstasies come, enjoy them lightly. If dryness comes, dwell faithfully. Both are whether the light is constant. Return again and again to the simple consent here. Now, I yield. Use the letter of truth only long enough to usher you into the spirit of truth, then let the letter fall silent. The more you live this way, the more you will sense that there is really only one I, looking through every window, speaking in every tongue, loving every identity as its own appearing. And the task is not to become spiritual enough, but to stay clear enough that nothing in you interferes with the effortless outflow of that presence as this moment